Any questions here, team? Everyone feeling okay? Kind of coming up to a pressure-filled last 2 days here, for sure, to a certain extent. I have a chance for a perfect month, which is not something I normally try to keep track of, but it's my second one of the year, I think. So it's impossible for that to not be kind of on my head. Now, because it is, right, I have to remind myself that the reason why I'm green this month or why I've been trading well has been because I am obsessing, right, over my decision-making processes. So I'm obsessing over closing as P&L is increasing. I'm obsessing and not allowing fake outs to cost me money. I'm obsessing over not going down with the ship. And I'm obsessing over taking every trade that sets up. I'm not talking myself out of trades. I am being really deliberate in how I am executing and then being almost paranoid once I'm in them to make sure that I finish green. Like the worst thing that's going to happen if I take a loss is I take a loss, right? Like it's going to be less than $500 of quote unquote fake money, right? Your prop firm money is not real until it's in your bank account. So every perceived fear you have is not real. So we got to stop attaching our ego to these things. We got to stop attaching our ego to the outcome of the next trade because it is crippling your ability to be objective and to actually execute the strategy. So a lot of self-sabotage here today, which I don't like. Completely avoidable self-sabotage here today, right, that I don't like. And that should be the thing to now study, right, reflect on and improve. Not to say that today should have been a monster day for everyone, right? That's not what I'm implying. But it should not have been a dramatic red day or a day where we missed 3+ trades, right? Everything behaved how we expected. We had a good plan on how we were going to manage those trades once we were in them. And we just had to shut off the ego. That's the only way you would have made money here today is if you shut off the ego effectively. And if you didn't do that here today, well, that's the thing to focus on, right? How can I improve that? Where did my ego flare up? Where did I make decisions that in hindsight, I knew I shouldn't have been trading or should have done differently or whatever? And we got to get over this feeling that our every entry is like a guaranteed loss, because that is not the reality, right? We're effectively coin flipping here, right? Every trade, the next outcome of my trade is either going to be a win or a loss. There's nothing else. So the only way that I'm going to be a winner long term is if I'm consistent in my behaviors, because that's how I win, right? The number one rule of systematic trading or rules-based trading is that you don't break your rules. So if your rule tells you that it's an entry, it's an entry. If your rules tell you that it's an exit, it's an exit. If your rules tell you it's 5 contracts, it's 5 contracts. There is no room for your emotions to take over control and to override your rules. If that's the point, right? If you're doing that, what's the point of having rules in the first place if you're not going to listen to them? So we got to get over ourselves here, guys. The worst thing that's going to happen is you'll fail your eval. Oh no, it's not a big deal, right? So get over the psychological barriers you're putting on yourselves and actually make decisions that elevate your trading so that failing your eval becomes impossible. But it's when we start to pick and choose, when we start to make selective decisions, when we think we can override the system, that we end up just never catching the wins and only catching losses. It starts to get to the point where we feel as if the market is rigged against us. And the reason, right, why it starts to feel that way is because you take a loss to start the day or you take a red decision or whatever it is, and then you allow your ego to change your decisions because you didn't like the result of that first outcome. And so now you're looking for exceptions so you don't feel that same thing again. And so you end up compounding mistakes. So that first trade, right? The trade that sets you off, right? The trade that puts you in a position where the next trade, you don't execute how you wanted. That's the trade to study. That's the one where you got to ask yourself, why did this one allow me to change my behaviors? What about this trade did I not like that then set me over the edge, or I was now unwilling to follow my rules? So breaking your structure, right? Breaking your rules, breaking whatever is a second order consequence of something that you did on a previous trade or a previous setup. It is not that one specifically, because everyone here who's talking about missing trades, right? They didn't miss the first one, right? They missed trade number 4 or trade number 5, right? No one here is missing the first trade. So you're giving yourself some sort of permission, some sort of excuse, some sort of whatever after that trade that you don't like, the first trade you don't like the outcome, that is then changing your behaviors for your second, your third, your fourth, your fifth, your 10th, your 100th trade. And that's creating a limiting belief that is causing you to then compound that stress. And when you miss a trade that runs in your favor or would have been green, right, it then creates an extra level of hesitation because now you think, oh, the next one's for sure going to be red because I took it. So you end up speaking it into existence. Like, guys, I've failed a bunch of evals. Pretty much every trader in here has failed a bunch of evals. I don't think I know a single one who has ever been 100% hit rate on them. Who cares, right? It's not important. The important thing is how you behave, what your hit rate is on behaving how you said you were going to behave. And then it's just playing a numbers game. That's it. So too many of us are making a numbers game personal. It is preventing us from actually executing our strategy how we expect. And it's causing you to miss a lot of green trades. So it's not required, right? We don't need to complicate things more than they already are. And we got to stop thinking we're smarter than the market. Yeah, it's complete and total bullshit, Mike. It'd be complete and total bullshit because the risk reward of these evals is skewed in your direction as long as you follow the rules. That's it. But if you're picking and choosing, if you're, oh, this one's going to go against me. Oh, I'm undisciplined. Oh, poor me. And you embrace that victim mentality before you ever place a trade, you're going to be tortured regardless of what the outcome is, right? So can't embrace that. Can't give yourself that easy excuse. I'm like, guys, I guarantee, right? A losing trade is worse for me than it is for you. Not necessarily because of a P&L thing, but every time I have a losing day or a set of red trades or whatever it is, I have a lot more work to do those days, right? Not to be an asshole. I'm not trying to call anyone out. It's not my intention. But those are always the days, right, where I get more DMs, more calls get booked, more all these sort of things. So that's not a bad thing. I'm not complaining about that. But like that's the only thing that changes, right? So none of you guys are going to have to change your schedule or do X or do Y or do Z. You're not going to have to remortgage the house. You're not going to have to go to prison. You're not going to do any of these things, right? All that's happened is you have lost some fake money. Scary, right? So every feeling you get associated with that is purely psychological. There is no danger. There is no risk. The only risk you have is if you don't behave how you say you're going to behave. And if you fall in love with that risk, then you will keep losing money. You will keep blowing accounts. You will keep wasting your time. So it doesn't need to be scary like that because you have zero consequences. No one's going to kick you out here. No one's going to tell you you're a fucking idiot. No one's going to yell at you if you follow your rules. If you choose to get addicted to that self-sabotage and you get addicted to that little voice in your head and you need validation from your short-term feelings to accomplish your long-term objectives, you will not get there. And we got to get off of that P&L roller coaster. We got to stop validating our emotions based on the outcome of a singular decision. And we need to tighten up our variables. Why we say, guys, right? We're all in this together by ourselves. So everyone here wants you to win. Everyone here wants you to be as successful as you possibly can be. Mike making money or Tony making money or Kellen making money has no impact on your ability to make money, right? We're not competing against each other. We're competing against ourselves. So we have to fix our own demons, right? Our own little problems, the things that prevent us from accomplishing our own objectives. And those problems are unique to us, but they're not fundamentally unique problems, right? Nor are the solutions. So there's no magic words. There's no pill. There's no combo of things that I can do on the live stream that will fix those problems for you. You have to just want it yourself. And you have to be sick and tired of your own bullshit or that own noise in your head that you're like, you know what? I'm going to stop listening to this asshole because I have no evidence that he actually wants or she wants what's best for me. And the sooner that we can stop feeding them bullshit or feeding our internal dialogue bullshit by behaving how it wants us to behave, the sooner you will be liberated and the sooner that you will make the money that you're actually trying to make. But if you get in your own head, if you talk yourself out of things, if everything is a assessment of how good you are or what progress you are making, you are cheating yourself of learning that skill and unlocking that freedom. Again, guys, the money in your eval account is not real. It is fake. It is fugazi. So you are imposing every single emotional reaction to it. It is not different than paper trading. It is only different because of your personal expectations. And those are at direct conflict with your ability to be consistent with your emotional behavior and your ability to follow rules. You need to do some pretty serious self-reflection to figure out why that divergence exists and why you're so addicted to that self-sabotage. Because at this point, pretty much everyone here has seen how easy it is to bounce back from a red day as long as you don't get in your own way, right? I don't know how many green days I've had in a row here, 25 maybe. And it's not like my win rate over those days has been 100%. I have made a lot of mistakes. I've had a lot of losing trades. I've done a lot of dumb things, but I've never, right, overridden my system. That's it. My system, when it's executed to the fullest of its potential, has that margin of error baked in, right? It has that stupid loss at the start of the session baked in. It has a risk management mistake baked in. It has a position sizing mistake baked in. And so the only way that I can smooth out that noise is if I create enough data and a large enough sample so that that becomes a drop in the ocean. That's it. That's all it is. It's just a numbers game, right? And if I follow my rules, hell, even 75% of the time, I'm sure I'll be profitable. If I follow them 100% of the time, like I strive for, and I'm going to have whatever freedom I want outside of my 2 to 3 hours I trade a day. So why not just like eat shit and suffer to be able to do whatever the hell I want the rest of my life? It's a pretty good risk reward. That's asymmetric upside. So why wouldn't I want to do that? Why would I want to keep torturing myself when freedom feels better? When I can do it, I'm just choosing not to. Not worth it. The other reality here, right, which I think we all need to understand, is that I could tell you exactly what to do, when to do it, how many contracts to trade, what your stop loss is, the exact moment to click submit and exit on your trades. I can tell you all of those things and you still won't do it, right? So it isn't about shutting off your brain and being Michael. It's about learning how to control your emotions and not believing them. Because copying, no one here has the evidence that they can just show up, copy, do exactly what I'm doing, and make money. They can only do that when they learn how to control their impulses that make them want to break the rules and to skip steps. So the only way that you can actually learn to copy my strategy or learn my strategy, probably the better way of describing it, is to learn how to manage the voice in your head and to stop believing every thought it creates, because most thoughts are bullshit. And you have no evidence that consistently listening to that voice in your head is actually getting you further ahead. All you have is evidence that it costs you money, it prevents you from accomplishing your objectives, and we'll always look for some sort of short-term validation to make ourselves feel good about not taking the risk. And the risk is one that isn't real, right? So it's this boogeyman in our heads, but it's not a boogeyman in reality. We got to stop. We got to stop being addicted to this routine of self-sabotage. Like I said, it is crushing you. It is destroying your ability to actually make money, and it is destroying your ability to play the numbers game as it is designed. This system does not work if we pick and choose. No system works if you pick and choose. So our rules exist so that we have binary events. And when we have those binary events, we don't override them, right? And we create binary events so that it either happens or it doesn't, right? It's a yes or no. Either it's inside my entry zone or it isn't. I'm not relying on does it feel like it's inside my entry zone. So it's just a set of yes, no decisions that are there to make my life easier. And if I ignore those yes, no decisions and I say no to a yes, then I am not making my life easier. I am making my life more difficult because I am just building up calluses to behaving how I expect I should behave. So losing itself is not a bad thing. Like having a losing trade is not a bad thing. We got to get over this. It's a fucking loss. It's one loss. I've taken 500 something trades this year, maybe more. So what's one loss in 500 trades? Doesn't matter, right? Who cares? It's insignificant. So why am I putting so much energy into that as being the death of hope when I have zero evidence to indicate that it is? I don't know. Don't you eventually get sick and tired of just repeating your mistakes, of being addicted to that process? Isn't it fucking miserable? Like, why wouldn't you want to change? Why are we so stubborn in committing, right, to a path that isn't getting us where we want to be? It just makes us feel good for 30 seconds. And then when the trade goes in our favor, it makes us feel like shit. Why would we want that? I simply don't understand. So like I said, guys, I have no magic words. Everyone has to make that decision for themselves. I can only encourage you to make it. I can't tell you to. I can't David Goggins you into being a disciplined trader. You have to make that decision yourself. And until you do, you will continue to suffer. Hate to break it to you in that way, but that is the reality.